trained by a foreign country more than 2,000 kilometers away. It's not the United States. It's not the UK, not the traditional empires. You know who it is? The Iranians, the Persian Empire, who's once again raised its evil head, but instead of the biblical type, now it's an empire of terrorism and proxies and suffering and death. There's no upside to their attempts at being an empire. There's no positivity. There's no trade. All they need is death, destruction, and gloom to everyone they touch. The Hezbollah, first and foremost, are enemies of the Lebanese people, not the Israeli people. They've killed, assassinated the head of the Lebanese state. They've threatened to do so also to Joseph Aoun, the current head of the Lebanese state, elected by the Lebanese people. They've threatened to assassinate him if he dares sign an agreement with Israel. That's not what a political party does. That's what a foreign terrorist entity does. And they've done so repeatedly. They've killed people within Lebanon. They've murdered minorities within the country. And then they also fight against Israel. That's sort of the hierarchy of what they do. First, they destroy their neighborhood. Then they come and try to ruin also the neighbor's house. And they've done so repeatedly. Israel's fighting against them in Lebanon. And bizarrely enough, suddenly the Iranians have something that they agree about in their negotiations. We want to make sure that also Lebanon is part of the ceasefire. The non-existent ceasefire, the ceasefire that Trump says is just a moderate, what did he say? A moderate removal or reduction in the level of fire. That amazing ceasefire, they want to make sure that Lebanon is part of it. Well, sorry guys, but no. Israel will continue fighting in Lebanon. Although what people are reporting, Trump and Netanyahu are still good friends. Israel and the United States are still communicating. And Israeli forces continue to fight against Hezbollah because Hezbollah hasn't stopped fighting. You can't have a ceasefire where only one side has a ceasefire. That's just called wanting to be inflicted pain. There's no point in it. Hezbollah hasn't stopped fighting. They continue launching drones, missiles, and rockets, and placing IEDs, trying to reach Israeli IDF posts. And if the IDF was not inside Lebanon, they'd be on the fence trying to enter into Israel. It's a ridiculous conversation altogether. The IDF should destroy Hezbollah. The Lebanese army should join forces with IDF in destroying Hezbollah. That's what should happen. In other countries, the brave French government that loves to talk about how much they want to bring peace to Lebanon, why don't you send some special forces and help remove Hezbollah, this disease of an organization that has destroyed so much of that country? Why not you send some help to fight these people? Because you know what, the Americans they have special forces there. This is not news, it's all over the internet. Israel has forces there. We're fighting the scorn of the Middle East. Why not other countries come and help remove Hezbollah? Believe me, there will be no point in the IDF being in Lebanon if Hezbollah is gone. No problem whatsoever. Israel has enough of beautiful nature and enough beautiful mountains and enough of a varying scenery. We don't need more terrain, although Lebanon's a beautiful country. We'll give it back to the Lebanese happily if they have a government and an army that can prevent Hezbollah from continuing to attack and to fight us. That is a reality. And despite this, I've been watching some of what's been going on in the news in the US. It's a bizarre conversation of Israel should stop fighting in Lebanon. We can't. The Hezbollah keeps attacking us. Tell them to stop and there'll be peace. Remove them from Lebanon and there'll be long-lasting peace. That's the equation.
Yeah, it keeps going back to the same very absurd demand. Okay, stop the war, and then but they're attacking us. Why? How can we stop if they keep attacking us? You want us to just let them kill us? And that's the situation. So I hope really that this new pilot that is about to be tested in some areas in South Lebanon, in which the Lebanese government will be the only one with power in a certain area, and Israel will not be in it, and the Hezbollah terrorist organization is not supposed to be in it. We'll see how it works, and I'm sure that the IDF force won't be far away to react and to help the Lebanese armed forces when the Hezbollah terrorists actually come and launch attacks against them. I think that's what's going to happen.
I hope that's the right thing. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Mati. We'll see you again in just a few more hours. So don't miss our second update of Boots on the Ground. I'm Yair Pinto. This is Mati Shoshani. Make sure to check us out on our social media accounts. And if you haven't subscribed yet to TV in Israel, this is your opportunity now. Pause this video, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another update of what's happening in Israel, and you'll know how to pray for the situation. Again, thank you very much, Mati Shoshani.
Thank you, Dave.
And let's get back to the situation of what's happening here in this land, because there are multiple areas that we need to discuss. So just giving you another option to hit the subscribe button here on TV in Israel. Leave us a comment when you're watching from, and we invite you to take part in something amazing that we are pioneering here in the northern parts of the country, something that is rooted deep in the land and in our hearts. I'm talking about the Rebuild Israel campaign that is continuing. It's bringing life back to Israel's north, along Israel's northern border, an area that is now under war, under fire by the Hezbollah terrorist rockets and suicide drones. We are planting an apple orchard. Yes. Why? Because there was an apple orchard before this war began, and it was destroyed by the terror rockets of Hezbollah. We want to show the terrorists that we're not going anywhere. We are rebuilding. We are replanting. We want the population of Israel to get back to their homes on the northern communities of Israel. The farmers, the apple picking people, everybody to get back, the children. That's our goal. When they try to destroy us, we prove that we are stronger because God gave us this land. So, this apple orchard is more than just agriculture. It creates jobs for the local families. It helps the communities return and rebuild. And it sends a clear message to the people of Israel that you are not alone, because you have millions of Bible-believing Christians with you. That's you. So when you donate, you're not just giving.
Might be wondering how I got here.
rebuilding.
All I needed was
Your
paper
support
towels.
is
But one deal led to
truly
another.
integral.
That's it. And another. By the time I spotted the paper towels, my hands were full. Ocean State job lot, everything you didn't.
This is how
Of terror after a California graduation.
I looked up, he had pointed the gun out and just started shooting.
An 18-year-old killed, 3 others injured, the youngest just 11 years old, in what police say was a shooting in the parking lot of Fairfield High School Wednesday evening. It's about an hour south of Sacramento.
I see my niece, my mom, and she say, run.
We don't have any information that there's any ongoing threat to the community at this time.
Police have not provided information on what led up to the shooting, which they say happened toward the end of the graduation for Sempiero High School, a continuation school which shares a campus with Fairfield High.
We have students that are concerned right now. They're scared by what they saw.
The mayor of Sissoon, California.
Who could imagine that such a tragic event would happen at such a joyous celebration?
Police say the investigation remains active. Jared Hill, CBS
The
News.
military assets of the United States continue to fly, sail, and operate safely and without interruption. So what's really happening here? Is Iran trying to present a victory that never happened? Or is it testing how far it can stretch America's nails without breaking the ceasefire? And that's exactly where we need to begin this morning. Because in the Middle East,
Did you know that motorcyclists are 27 times more likely to die in a motor vehicle crash than passenger vehicle occupants? Motorcycles can be hard to see. We need to look twice to save a life. Let's watch for motorcycles and share the road. Please remember to leave extra room when following motorcycles, and to check in your rear view mirrors and blind spots, and to be extra careful when making
Olive oil, actually, turns out, which contains lots of bioactives. And I think that's what I'm so excited about as a research scientist. Not only is it the food, but we're beginning to identify the specific substance in the food that can be beneficial. So hydroxytyrosol, oleocanthin, all these types of bioactives in olive oil, which is also present in whole olives, by the way. And it's present in olive oil, but it's also present in olive water. Olives are mostly water, not oil. So when you press olive oil, it turns out that they throw away the water right now, and they collect the oil. But the water's got a lot of these polyphenols. One of them, hydroxytyrosol, which also makes it into the oil a little bit, actually will tame your stem cells in body fat. So again, this is an example where the foods that we eat actually, not only surprisingly, actually can help us fight body fat. That's one of the things that I was so surprised at when I started to set out to do this research. You assume that when you're eating food, you're going to grow fat eventually, right? Here, actually, there's actually substances in food that can actually help
But the
you
American
tame
response
and even
wasn't
lose fat.
usually sharp.
And in fact, I'll confess something that most people don't know is that when I wrote my first book and I turned it in and it became very successful, the New York Times bestseller, I had in the back of my mind a little concern that people would become so enamored with eating all the foods that I talked about that they might gain weight. And you know, I'm a medical doctor, so I get concerned about this obesity epidemic. And I would be receiving these emails, you know, thousands of emails, tens of thousands of emails, people thanking me for writing the book and then talking to me about how more empowered they feel and how much healthier they felt. Some people said, oh, you know, I was able to get off of my medications. You know, like I got lots of really good feedback. And my radar was on for people that might say, but I was waiting for the but I'm getting weight, you know, because I'm eating so much of the good food that you guys are talking about. I never got that. What I got instead was, I distinctly remember somebody wrote it and said, and you know what, the other benefit I got from eating to beat disease is that unexpectedly I started to lose weight in ways that I could never lose before. And I got that one letter and I thought, well, thank God he didn't gain weight. And then I thought, wait a minute, this is a little bit weird. How could you be eating more food and losing weight? So I kind of brushed it off. And then I got more, maybe another dozen letters like that, or notes, emails like that, people reporting that they were actually losing weight. By the time I got to like 20 or 30 of these, I thought, wait a minute, there is actually something going on. I'm a researcher, right? So we pick up clues by observing. And I thought the most unusual thing is that by eating food, and these people are telling me, like, now they're like really eating, you know, foods to fight health defense systems. How is it that they can be eating food and losing weight? And so that's what literally triggered me to begin looking more deeply into this. It was really just the next part of my research. Actually, I was doing research on metabolism, but now I wanted to dive in to see what the heck was going on. And so when we started to take a look at the bioactives in these foods, because as a researcher, a scientist, that's what I'm wondering. Is there a mechanism? Like, what could possibly be in these foods? The lycopene, the hydroxytyrosol in olive oil, lycopene in tomatoes, the ellagic acid in chestnuts. You know, I started to discover that, in fact, all of these bioactives.
Woodland Senior Living of Farmington. Park Residences, private retirement apartments. The community you want. The safety you want. The comfort you want. The friendships you want. The care you want. Park Residences, private retirement apartments. The lifestyle you want. Visit woodlandsmaine.com.
The attacks in Kuwait, the threats against Bahrain, the claims around the Gulf of Oman, and the messages about the state of Hormuz, all of these are part of the same equation. Iran is trying to charge a price for every day without an agreement. I want to open up this, get to the world state, and make the White House understand that time is also working against it. In the Gulf, the Arab states understand this very well. Kuwait condemned the attack.
Started to also make sense to me because they were fighting body fat. They were taming the stem cells. They were preventing fat cells from loading up with extra fuel. They were actually igniting the brown fat, turning on that space heater to burn down energy and increasing metabolism. And then when you actually really took a look at the studies that were looking at specific foods studied in clinical studies, isolating the food, all right, and just giving the food to people, you start seeing that they were shrinking waist size or waist circumference, and they were losing body weight as well. And so all of a sudden it became clear to me that there was this whole other field of foods that actually can activate your metabolism, burn down harmful body fat, and against what we talked about at the very beginning of this, which is this new science of the metabolism, these four phases, and the harms of extra body fat. I realized that there was something that people had to read about, which is, what are those foods that you eat, that we know what's inside them, can burn harmful body fat and unleash your inner metabolism. Who hasn't heard of the benefits of green tea, right? It's been sensationalized. I think that in the modern world, because of all this complexity, human nature tends to either create a hero or a demon. that's demonization or heroization, right? Green tea tends to be in the hero side. But for me, what I really try to bring to the forefront and the focus is that the science is actually trying to teach us exactly what it is that's in the tea. So we know tea has polyphenols, they're called catechins. We know one of the catechins is called EGCG. It's epigallocatechin 3 gallate. But don't worry about the fancy Latin scientific names. Let the scientists kind of deal with it. But there's a polyphenol in tea, catechin, that's actually really, really good for you. Not only does it cut off the blood supplies to help starve cancers, not only is it anti-inflammatory, not only does it help protect your stem cells so you can regenerate from the inside out, the fiber in green tea and some of the catechins, catechin itself is actually a prebiotic, helps to nourish your gut microbiome, take your gut bacteria, make it happy. It's antioxidant, good for your DNA, stimulates your immune system. So again, these are the attributes of only one of the substances that we know about in green tea that actually helps our body stay healthier. It turns out when it comes to your body fat, the catechin, the same substance, actually fights white fat. So it actually helps you actually lose some of the subcutaneous jiggly stuff. But more importantly, it actually helps you lose visceral fat, the harmful baseball glove fat that can be trapped even inside a skinny body. That's the stuff that chokes your organs, that grows fast, that's on the fat in the back of your tongue that we talked about earlier. So the bottom line is that green tea drinkers just metabolically are healthier. And here's the other thing about green tea. Not only has it a catechin, but it's actually just brewed in water. Whether it's hot water or iced tea, iced green tea, you wind up hydrating yourself as well. And so again, you get multiple benefits in hydration. Also, by the way, a lot of people don't know this, but a cup of iced tea, a glass of iced tea, has got water in it. Not only got the catechins, but it's got water in it. Turns out water itself turns on your metabolism, turns on your brown fat. And basically when you drink iced tea, cold or a glass of cup of cold water, it actually gets into your stomach, and there's a temperature gauge in your stomach that senses that's cold. And because it's your core body temperature, what we think happens is it triggers this gauge to turn on your metabolism to try to warm up the water. It's kind of like a hot water thermos. It wants to warm it up, and it turns up your metabolism. To turn up your metabolism and activates your brown fat. Your brown fat needs that fuel to be the space heater, draws down energy from your harmful fat, burns away some of your harmful fat. So again, this is a new way of thinking about our food. It's actually working our the food is working our inner workings on our behalf of our metabolism. And by making really, really smart choices, we can actually allow ourselves to unleash our inner metabolism. A lot of people don't realize this, but matcha is super packed with polyphenols. You know why? Matcha is grown in a very particular way. 28 days before they pick the tea leaf to make matcha, they put it under shade. They basically cover it with a canopy, and the shade is there. So the tea, in response to tea plant, in response to shade, actually wants to make more polyphenols. So they make anywhere from 30 to 300 times more polyphenols under the shade. All right? And then what happens when you pick the leaf, cut off the stem, and then they dry and powder the entire leaf. And so that's why you have so much more polyphenol. But then you get more, but rather than having it in a tea bag or loose tea leaves, you actually powder the entire leaf. So you're getting the entire leaf, including all the polyphenols. So you drink all the polyphenols, which is why you get 30 to 300 times more than just...
I believe when a lawful gun owner wants a firearm, they should be able to purchase one without the government telling them to wait. That's why I oppose Maine's 72-hour waiting period. I'm Jonathan Bush. I'd appreciate your vote.
Before Apoquel chewable for allergic itch, giving dogs pills was a battle of wits.
Oh, Maria, I'm wise to your foolish game. Is it gone?
Totally gone. Relief for itchy dogs can be easier. Apoquel, the trusted #1 treatment for allergic itch, is available in a tasty chewable that works fast.
May cause worsening of existing parasitic skin infestations, serious infections, or pre-existing cancers. New neoplasias have been observed. Do not use in dogs under 12 months of age with serious infections or in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs.
Ask your vet for Apoquel chewable.
Do it!
Dunking a tea bag, you also get the dietary fiber. Good for your gut microbiome. So matcha tea actually is quite amazing. Actually done a study to show that matcha tea extracts can kill breast cancer stem cells. I'm always amazed by that because, look, as somebody who's been involved with biotech development and cancer treatment development finding something that could kill stem cells, cancer stem cells, like breast cancer stem cells, which is what makes cancers come back, is a holy grail. We don't have a drug for it, but here, matcha tea actually been shown in the lab to actually be able to do that. To me, is actually really jaw-dropping. Then going down into even more fermented tea, because traditionally, again, this idea that in our wellness community, we wind up having all these mantras. Must drink green tea, and oxidized fermented tea is no good. Turns out that's not true. The science is showing that oolong tea, which is slightly fermented, also good for your metabolism. You can lose your waist, you can shrink your waist size, waist circumference, lose body fat. And then even perhaps more surprising, if you take the extreme of fermented smoky dark teas, there's a tea that I write about called pu'er tea. This comes from a village of Pu'er that back thousands of years actually traded tea on the Silk Road. So they smoked the tea, they fermented it so it would actually survive the tea journey. And it turns out research has been done to show that pu'er tea lights up your brown fat, burns up, triggers your excess fat burning, burning the cells, decreases your stem cells from making more fat, and fats, visceral fat as well. Quite remarkable that this fermented tea, that's supposedly fermented, can't be good, doesn't have any of the polyphenols left, wrong. And on top of that, they've actually discovered just a few years ago that there is this tradition, 1,000-year-old tradition of making pu'er tea. There's even a bacteria, a probiotic that actually the bacteria is grown in the way that it's fermented. In fact, they call it pu'er-cilus, like a bacillus that actually grows in pu'er tea. So this is actually a probiotic tea, which to me is remarkable. And not only does it improve gut health, it's good for your metabolism as well. So it fires up your brown fat. So again, tea is the second part of the Holy Trinity. The third, which I always drink, and you asked me what did I want if I was coming in to do this podcast with you and I requested a cup of coffee. Coffee has chlorogenic acid and many other polyphenols, but the chlorogenic acid not only boosts your health defenses, but it also triggers your metabolism and stimulates your metabolism from going as well. A little bit of caffeine, which I'm able to tolerate. Not everybody can tolerate caffeine, but I'm able to tolerate the caffeine. Caffeine also stimulates not only your your brain, but also stimulates your metabolism as well. And I'm not encouraging people to go after caffeine. I'm just saying that coffee is one of the third of the Holy Trinity. Coffee, tea, and water that actually is really, really healthy. The study that was done was taking pieces of fat from people getting bariatric surgery. So these are people that are morbidly obese and removing their fat. And the researchers actually took a chunk of the fat and grew them out in a plastic dish, petri dish, and they were able to observe that fat wants to grow. Once it's out of control, it sort of wants to keep on going out of control. And the way it does it is kind of like scary on autopilot. Fat is a highly vascular tissue, meaning that it actually requires a lot of blood vessels, just like a tumor, by the way. So when fat wants to go way beyond where it should be growing, excess body fat, the way that it supports itself is by hijacking and recruiting and growing out, extending extra blood vessels, desperately trying to find a source of blood, of nutrients and oxygen. And so what they found when they removed the fat from obese people and they put it right into a petri dish and to grow in tissue culture, the fat within days started extending its tentacles of blood vessels, searching for new nutrition in order to be able to make it grow bigger and bigger and bigger and to explode in its growth. And so this is what's really interesting, is that there's an analogy between excess body fat and cancer that's growing. Early in the womb, when our bodies were still forming, blood vessels grew and fat formed little bubble wrap packing around the fat, little formations of fat, in order to be able to store fuel. That's basically how we actually form. So our blood vessels naturally have a little rim of fat around it. They're the fuel tanks for our body. All right, what happens is that as fat mass grows, it continues to need blood supply, needs oxygen, and when you have too much fat growing, it just needs more blood. It needs more blood supply. It actually reaches out and it grabs more blood vessels to selfishly grow blood vessels towards itself. Now, if the fat grows too fast, faster it can grow, then it can grow the blood vessels. Actually, the center of the piece of the expanding mass will start to die because it can't grow blood vessels fast enough. That's called hypoxia. And when the center of the fat that's growing, it happens in tumors as well, doesn't get enough oxygen. And that hypoxic area in the center of a fat mass is really dangerous because hypoxia causes inflammation. Basically, it's the tissue that's starting to die. It's not dead yet, and inflammatory cells just race in there. And that's why excess obesity actually is associated with inflammatory diseases, highly inflammatory diseases like cancer, like diabetes, like Alzheimer's disease, partly because it's a setup. Too much body fat sets you up to basically be a walking vessel of inflammation. Hey, if you like that video, then you're gonna love this one. Check it out.
It's just rather than forcing your own idea upon life, it's more like take yourself a little bit back, be open, and just see right now what in this very moment does this life give you for opportunities, and then you still go into action.